As part of Minneapolis burned last night, one of President Trump's tweets during the violence stirred up memories from decades ago in South Florida. The tweet calling on Minnesota's political leaders to take control came in two parts, and a portion of the second part included the line, quote, "When the looting starts, the shooting starts."
Right, I was very hurt. I can't imagine being there because I don't know what I would have done if I would have seen that for myself. But I felt everything that he felt just by hearing what he went through. And it hurt. It hurt really bad.
Now, I know we do a lot of talking about what separates us. I know we do a lot of talking about how far we have to go, but let's talk about what we've done. Let's talk about what we've done in such a short period of time. We have forced them to acknowledge the pain that has existed for years and years. We have forced them to take into account and consider what we've gone through ever since they brought us to this country. We have forced them to now be considerate of our lives, our liberties, and we can't let up off the gas.
I don't have a lot to say because I can't get my words together right now, but I wanted everybody to know that this is what those officers took. At the end of the day, they get to go home and be with their family. Shiana does not have a father. He will never see her grow up, graduate. He will never walk her down the aisle. If it's a problem she's having and she needs her dad, she does not have that anymore. I'm here for my baby. And I'm here for George because I want justice for him. I want justice for him because he was good. No matter what anybody thinks, he was good. And this is the proof that he was a good man.
Thank you. I'm really not sure what else America needs to see. On the rerun of George Floyd, sadly, I'm probably going to be back here in a few months with another case.
The message that I want to get out is that there is a huge difference in America between white Americans and black Americans. They are treated very differently, and although I do not want white Americans to experience what we have experienced from the police, I want the police to come to an agreement with us to give us the same opportunity to have the same protection from them that white Americans have.
Not an isolated incident. It is a continuum of cases and situations that have been going on for decades and decades and decades. These are just chapters in a book, and the title of the book is Continuing Injustice and Inequality in America. And these are just chapters. The chapters started modern day Rodney King in Los Angeles, 1991. Abner Louima in New York, 1997. Amadou Diallo in New York, 1999. Sean Bell in New York, 2006. Oscar Grant, Oakland, California, 2009. Eric Garner, New York City, 2014. Michael Brown, Missouri, 2014. Laquan McDonald, Chicago, 2014. Freddie Gray, Baltimore, 2015. Antoine Rose, Pittsburgh, 2018. Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia, 2020. Breonna Taylor in Kentucky, 2020. George Floyd in Minneapolis, 2020. That's why the outrage. That's why the frustration and the anger. It is not about one situation. It's about the same situation happening again and again and again and again, and seeing the same thing and not learning the lesson. And then it's that happening in a broader context and a broader circumstances, which is what's going on with the coronavirus, which affects and kills more minorities than anyone else. You look around this country and you look at the people who are dying of the coronavirus, it is disproportionate African American people. And it's just a continuing injustice, and that's the frustration and that's the protests. Nobody is sanctioning the arson and the thuggery and the burglaries, but the protesters and the anger and the fear and the frustration, yes, yes. And the demand is for justice. And when the prosecutor came out and said, well, there's other evidence, but I can't tell you anything more than that, that only incited the frustration. Injustice in the justice system. How repugnant to the concept of America. And over and over and over again. I stand figuratively with the protesters. I stand against the arson and the burglary and the criminality. I stand with the protesters. And I think all well-meaning Americans stand with the protesters. Enough is enough. How many times do you have to see the same lesson replayed before you do something? This country is better than this. It has been better than this. And it shouldn't take this long to end basic discrimination and basic injustice.
Hello, everyone. Hi to all my listeners. Welcome to my first episode of this podcast that I've always wanted to start. I'm gonna name it ErikaSpeaks because I'm just gonna be talking about different things. I hope that my intro to this video didn't make anyone get emotional, because I know it definitely made me get emotional while I was creating it. So this podcast is something that I've always wanted to start on my YouTube channel, but it just so happens that the recent events that's been going on just really sparked my passion in me to start talking about a lot of different things that I advocate about in my daily life. So why not just bring it to this platform that I can let everyone else hear, what I have to say about everything. First and foremost, I just want to put a disclaimer that all the discussions that I'm going to be having on this podcast are only my opinion. I'm not trying to change anyone else's views or values or anything. It's just my perspective of how I portray a lot of the things that I take in. And if it offends anyone, you don't have to subscribe to my channel or even listen or support or anything, because I don't want to, that's the last thing that I want to do. So with that being said, I could go ahead and get into tonight's topics. I would say today, but I waited kind of late to record. But yeah, so I come to you all the way from my home in New York. I'm actually in my living room right now. I'm currently home, and it's been such a huge change from Alabama to New York. Whether that be the masks, the long lines for just a grocery store, you have to wait in lines and they let you go in one by one, and it's just been such a different climate. While I've been home, I've been seeing how things are changing in Alabama as far as the coronavirus spiking a lot back in Alabama. So I think me coming to New York may have been a better route, for everything that's going on. It's just been so different it's been dead here. Meanwhile, in Alabama, it's been everyone going out, whether it be without a mask or with a mask. There's no law saying you have to wear your mask. Now there is. But in New York, it's always been really serious to stay, 6 feet apart, wear your mask. So it's been a lot of changing. It's been like a whirlwind since I got home. The recent deaths that took place in the public eye, it's like nothing new to what I've experienced before. It's like such a tragedy, but it's not only that, but it's been just tales of how Black and brown communities get taken advantage of every day. We're always targeted, we're always misunderstood. It's always, oh, I thought that she had a gun, I thought something was pointed to me. It's never been definite. We've just always been killed in cold blood. George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, these are just names of a list that just goes on and on. Even the people that we don't know about what happened to them, videos that we don't see, or things that are not in the public eye. So it just leads you to believe that there's been millions of these slain killings that have gone on, but we just haven't seen it. We just don't know about it. It's not in the media. So it's really sad, and it's just examples of just blatant racism and hate. I know for me, I saw firsthand when I was coming home. I always come through the Atlanta airport to come home. It's just easier that way than to go through Birmingham. And I just found it so ironic that I probably would not have made it home because of the death of Rayshard Brooks. He was shot and killed in the back by a Georgia policeman at a Wendy's drive-thru. So that's something that is just, it's ironic, because when it shows you how when you are actually when it hits home for you, or you've experienced something, it makes you feel so much different about something. Because me being in Atlanta, that story really hit home, because it was right there where I was. It was 10 minutes from where I was that day, and I probably would not have made it home because the protesters actually blocked the same highway that I drove to the airport on. So it's just crazy that what's going on in our world today, just because of the colors of our skin, or the things that we wear, the way that we speak, or just, it could be as simple as the way we walk when we're outside. It can like literally mean a death sentence for us, just because of the way that we're perceived by policemen or by other people of enforcement. And growing up, it's always been just in my nature. Like, it's natural for me to just make impacts in spaces that I feel that need it. For me, I can't stay silent when my uncles or future nephew or my dad or future husband are always in danger every day. I can't stay silent or just remain comfortable when we're told to cooperate with policemen, but we end up being killed anyways. I cannot stay silent when I mention the men that I know, but my mom, my future daughter, my aunts, my sister, even other powerful women that I know, they can serve the same death sentence as those men. I just remember being younger. I was 10 years old, 11 years old, when I used to do a lot in my community. I would go to Hempstead, which is near where I live, and a lot of deaths take place there all the time. That was like nothing new for me. And I would advocate at protests. I remember going to New York for the killings that took place of Kimani Gray and Akai Gurley, and the same pain that I felt back then, I feel now, and it just amazes me of how much history can repeat itself over and over again. It's going to amaze me when next week we hear another case about another black man, and I share the same pain again. And it's just pain after pain after pain. It makes you just desensitize and become numb to what's taking place. And it's almost as if you've been there before, so you just go about your daily day. Like, I remember when I was coming home from Atlanta, and a man told me another black man was shot last night. And I just remember standing there at the gas pump and just just remembering, like, I'm just like, okay, yep, another black man. Like, it's becoming to the point where it can desensitize us as a community. Social media platforms, you know, they all say defund the police, but the truth of the matter is that I feel as though this is a myth, and like, in order to debunk the myth, I think that we need to think about the next steps. We can't just make statements and not know where it's going to take us or where we want to go next with it. I think that we should have watchdogs in our own communities. You know, these are men or women that volunteer, that have grown up alongside the youth in the communities that they volunteer in. They're no strangers to the youth that are living there, the struggles or the hardships that the youth face. So they can relate when police are called. They can be at the site. They can, you know, advocate for that youth or for the person that are going to be either detained or not detained. You know, the public should have access to police officers' information that reside in our communities. I feel like that's our business, to know who will be policing us. We should know where they came from, or if they were fired, or what they were fired for in the past. The same way that we have criminal histories, I feel as though police officers or people in enforcement, we should know about a police officer's history. We need to educate our communities on, like, the language of these officers. I know during the Rayshard Brooks videos that were released, he just kept saying sobriety test, like he did not know what that even meant. I feel as though our communities can pour more money into these resources that teach us, okay, this is what this term means when a police officer says this, or when a person in enforcement says this, so that we know, or so that a police officer is not just saying something and we're looking at them confused and they take that as disrespect or they take that as offensive. More workshops for police officers, in which that lasts for several months before they can be able to go into communities and police. These are all things that I just feel like should have already been taking place. But now that we're in the space where we're focused on it, I feel as though it's essential for today. When I think about everything that's going on, when I think about the people who are on the front lines who fought for me, when I think about, like, my ancestors that fought for what I have the right to do today, whether that's going to a predominantly white institution, when I think about things that I can own that I would not have been able to own back in the slavery time period, it just makes me disgusted that you think that you come so far in society just to end up with the same things that were going on in the past, and the same country that can brag about being the free land or the place where people can come and make a life for themselves will be the same country that you feel locked up, you feel like you're fighting for your last breath, like you can't breathe, you're hustling every day just to be faced with the same problems. And I don't want to sound like I'm just rambling about, you know, I do know that we have progressed, but I also feel like there's a lot more that needs to be done. And I just don't want to sound like I'm just going off, like, about, you know, these issues, but I just feel like we have a lot more to do. Just because, you know, they come out with LGBTQ rights, that you cannot get fired, I feel as though, what about when that person is within the job? What about the pay grade? What about the way that they're treated? What about things that are said to these individuals? I feel like even within our own communities, we separate ourselves from each other. Oh, she's light skinned. Oh, she's dark skinned. Oh, she has better hair than me. Oh, she has this kind of hair texture. Oh, she speaks this way, so she's on a higher platform. And I feel like we already have a lot against us in our own black and brown communities, that we don't need anything else separating us from each other. We need to come together and just be one. And this is why, like, I stand with those who fight for me. You know, we live in a place where it wasn't even made for us. Where we live, it wasn't made for black people. The longer that we continue to indulge in the things that I just said, whether that be saying that girl or that guy has better hair or is light skinned or is lesbian or gay, so they're not a part of our communities, the more that we sit in these disparities are the longer that we will look for solutions where there aren't any, where we're talking about black on black crime. But really, is it black on black crime if the society that we live in is already set up for our failure? If you live in public housing, you know, you're already in the database that you lived in public housing. If you were incarcerated before, you're already in the database that you were incarcerated before. So you're limited in your resources when you get out. It's like you're setting someone up for failure. They will go right back into their old ways because they feel as though whatever they try to do, it's never going to be enough. They're never going to be able to succeed either way. So it's just the systematic oppression that America was here long before we even got here. And I feel as though that it will never change for generations to come. I don't know if that will change, but as for right now, the way I'm looking at it, I feel as though it will never change. There's always been a disproportionate system in our society. It's always been a hierarchy, or it's always been a social class system. It's always been a pyramid. Slaves have always been at the bottom. So it would be careless of us to say that this just arose or that this is just beginning. It's been here. So racism and hate has always been here. Confederate States has always been here. It's been here. Like, when I think about it, it's like racism has been here, microaggressions, macroaggressions, stereotyping, bias. It's been here when I was told when I was younger, oh, I speak white. It's been here when I've been told that I'm too light-skinned to be black. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's just like, it's just now rising to the surface for everyone else to see, but my community but the people who look like me have always gone through this for decades. So with that being said, I don't want to ramble. This is the eve of Juneteenth. So, you know, Black excellence. So I just wanted to just share some things that were on my mind. And thank you guys so much for listening to my first episode on the eve of Juneteenth. Tomorrow, I'll be uploading episode 2, which will embrace our culture and showing why Black is really beautiful, Black girl magic, all that stuff. I just wanted to bring awareness to my platform and share what's been on my brain, what's been on my heart. So yeah, everyone out there, stay safe, blessed, positive. Most importantly, I would say keep protesting. I myself want to attend protests here in New York. Donate if you can, protest if you can, speak out about anything that you feel is wrong. And yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed my intro. I worked really hard on it. And thank you all so much for listening to my first episode. And I hope you guys enjoyed, and subscribe, turn on post notifications. And yeah, thank you.
It's been alone. It's been a long time coming, and I know